What's up, DC Nation? Welcome back to another video. And I figured since there's no more comics coming out this year of 2020, like the year is basically over by the time I release this video. Crap, it may already be 2021. Depends on what day I release this video. But I figured we should go over the top 10 best DC comics of 2020. Because even if this year was kind of crazy, there's even like a whole month and a half where no comics were coming out, there's still a lot of great ones. And that's not just talking about the events, because DC Comics actually had a lot of different events this year between Joker War, Death Melt, DCeased Deadplanet, but there's still a lot of other series that were standalone that are really good. So I'm going to go over the top 10 best, and by the way, this is going to be a subjective list, so what that means, this is my opinion, alright? I'm not actually going to different people or other DC fans and be like, hey, what's your favorite? What's your favorite? And making it like a fact thing, like, oh, this is the best one 2020. No, it's just my opinion. My favorites, and I read all the DC Comics, so if I leave out something, there's probably a reason for that, and I'm gonna have some honorable mentions. I'm not just gonna give you guys 10 comics, that's not it. I'll go over like number 10 through 2, then get probably like 5 honorable mentions, and then get my number 1 spot, alright? My favorite comic, my favorite DC comic of 2020, alright? And yeah, there may be some left off the list that you're like, hey, why'd you not include it? And I'd actually like to know your thoughts on that down below. I'd like to know your guys' top 10 best DC comics of 2020, your opinion, because yeah, it's cool for me to talk about it. I enjoy talking about DC Comics, giving my thoughts to you guys, but I also enjoy reading you guys' comments and seeing what DC Comics you enjoyed, and actually give me what comics you're really looking forward to in 2021. Because now we know that Future State is coming, Infinite Frontier, which by the way, I'll actually link down below in the description, my videos for both of those events. I made long videos explaining both of them. Pretty much giving you guys hype from 2021, so I want to know which comics you're looking forward to the most. For me, I'm looking forward to a couple, right? Nightwing by Tom Taylor. I am looking forward to Batman, the Next Batman. That's the one series out of like Future State that I'm actually really excited about. And there's a couple others, like Swamp Thing, even the Batman title. There's a lot of stuff I'm excited for from 2021. But I want to give 2020 its last spotlight, alright? The last time we're talking about the comics from this year. And yeah, guys, to kick it off with number 10, what we have... Detective Comics No. 1027. This is an anniversary issue, and the whole point of this was, okay, 1,000 issues since Batman, right? But really what it was DC was like, alright, Detective Comics 1000 did really good. And I know it's only been 27 issues, but let's crank out another anniversary comic, which I'm cool with. I really enjoyed it. So there's a lot of great writers on this issue, like Scott Snyder, Grant Morrison, Matt Fraction, and honestly, those stories were really good. Like Grant Morrison's like Detective number 26, which we had a Silver Ghost, was really good. I really enjoyed that story, and actually I'll link down below in the description pretty much my whole playlist about the stories from that comic. It's actually a review of each story. We had Scott Snyder's story, which was like called As Always, which we have Batman who shows it to Commissioner Gordon, and then Batman has to go off into space with the Justice League, and you pretty much see Commissioner Gordon's like perspective of how Batman lives. He's always thinking like, as always, he's gonna come back. Like, he goes up there, saves a bunch of people, but he'll come back by the time sun is coming up in the morning. You see, like, Commissioner Gordon just sits there on the rooftop. Batman makes it back, and they both watch the sun come up in Gotham, knowing that they succeed. A really powerful story. It was a short story, but it was written by Scott Snyder, drawn by Ivan Rice. Guys, Ivan Rice's artwork is just outstanding here. Really good. But Grant Morrison's story with like the Silver Ghost, we saw like this guy who was kind of becoming like his own hero, protecting people, but he then finds out somebody beat him to the punch. Somebody's already protecting Gotham, and that's Batman. So he gives it up and it's like, oh, Gotham is what it is. We also got like Blowback, which is written by Peter J. Tomasi and drawn by Brad Walker. A quick but really entertaining story. Matt Fraction's story, May Happy Returns. It was like Batman, he gets a gift from Joker every year. Not every year, every month, guys. Every month he gets a gift from Joker, but one month he doesn't get it, so he's waiting on it. And this time the gift is actually Joker himself, and Batman just beats the crap out of Joker. But the whole point of this message is that the Joker's never gonna stop. This whole rivalry rivalry between Batman and Joker, the relationship is never gonna end. And it's just so well done. The artwork in this whole entire comic, Detective Comics 1027, is really good, and they really went all out. It's worth the price, and you should check it out, guys. It's number 10 that's the list. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, guys, with that out of the way, let's get to number 9. Coming in at number 9 is Flash number 761. Now, this is the penultimate chapter in Joshua Williams' iconic Flash run. It's one of my favorite Flash runs in a long time. It ran from 2016, Flash Rebirth number 1, to Flash number 762. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, he's probably not going to have another Flash comic on this list. Technically not another Flash comic, though, but there is another comic on this list, in this top 10 list, that's about a Flash, but this is the only Flash issue that's in Joshua Williams' run that's on this list, alright? Now I was trying to decide, alright, should I choose his final issue, 762, or his penultimate chapter? And you'd probably think, the final issue, because it brings it all together, it's a big send-off. Yeah, the final issue is really good. But this was the issue that stuck out to me. It was amazing. Issue number 761, what you saw was Reverse Flash is causing a lot of chaos, right? And he has all these different villains like Bloodwork, the Rogues, Gorilla Grodd. He gets all these villains behind him to attack the Flash. And it's not just the Flash there, it's not just Barry Allen. It's the whole Flash family, guys. You have different characters from throughout the history. You have Jay Garrick, Max Mercury. You have Impulse, guys. Freaking Impulse. And it's really cool. Impulse shows up. Yeah, there's really cool interaction between Impulse and Iris. And she's like, hey, I love you, but hey, go run. Save the day. Impulse is like, got it. He goes, he runs. You have this big battle between Barry and Eobard Thawne, and it's really epic. And the artwork by Howard Porter is amazing, guys. There's actually a double page spread where you see Barry fight out against Reverse Flash, right? Then you got the Flash family against all the Flash's villains, and it's one of my favorite images, one of my favorite double page spreads in all of the Flash's history. It just looks really cool. And we also have the Flash from DC 1 Million. That was cool. It was to bookend the issue, seeing how big of this story is. They just brought so many characters back. And you had the Dark Flash in this, which we will eventually talk about the Dark Flash on this channel, because we're actually going over Mark Waid's Flash run right now, and we'll eventually get to that. But there's so much nostalgia in this issue, and it sets up the final issue just really well. And yeah, I really loved it, guys, and that's why I'm putting it here, number 9. But yeah, let's get to number 8. Coming in at number 8, we got Suicide Squad number 7. Now, this issue is my favorite issue from Tom Taylor's Suicide Squad run. Now, if you guys know about this run, it's only 11 issues. It got cut down short. Hopefully, Tom Taylor returns to a Suicide Squad mythos eventually. But for now, yeah, 11-issue series, and he wrote the series, and the artist was Bruno Redondo. The same creative team that did the Injustice comic, and is going to do the Nightwing comic coming out in 2021. Now, this issue is mainly about Deadshot, alright? And his relationship with his daughter, Zoe. We see how Deadshot's gotten pardoned, he's out of the Suicide Squad, he's doing good. He goes back to his family, and there's a really emotional moment at the beginning of the issue where you see Deadshot is walking up to the house of his family, right? His wife and his daughter Zoe, right? He's walking up, and he's like, is she gonna want me? He opens the door, he's like, I know you don't want me, I know you don't care about me, I've been gone a long time, but Zoe just jumps out and grabs him, hugs him. And she's like, hey, daddy. And you just see that face on Floyd's face, right? And Bruno Redondo, how he does the facial expressions, the action sequences in this issue is amazing. I actually think you have Daniel Sanfrey on the artwork too in this issue. It's combined, both of them are on it. And Daniel Sanfrey, he does great artwork too. But still, it's a really great issue. The artwork is just phenomenal. And you see Deadshot with his daughter, and his daughter says this funny thing. She gets a bow and arrow, and she's like, I don't kill people, but she says something this code name that's similar to Deadshot, and she's like, yeah, I'd be a hero like you, daddy. And it's just so nice, right? Tom Taylor, something he does so well is hitting those character moments, right? He's really good at character arcs, character moments, and really hitting you in the feels, and he does that here. But he also delivers in the action department, guys. Because you see that now there's a manhunt, people are going after the Suicide Squad, especially Deadshot. We see these different people show up to the house, and his wife is like, "What the heck? You told me you were out." And Deadshot's just like, "I was partying. I was out, but." Obviously, it doesn't last that long. And you see this awesome sequence where the artwork looks really good. You see, like, Deadshot puts out his guns, he's, like, shooting and stuff. It looks really cool. And you see Zoe actually save him. And then Deadshot saves his daughter. There's, like, many moments you think she'll die. But then the Suicide Squad show up, and they save Zoe as well. And then by the end, Deadshot is back in the Suicide Squad, right? And it's just an issue that defines Deadshot as a character. And it's the relationship between him and his daughter Zoe is at the height here of its emotional moments. It's just, it's nice. I really like it. Now, there's other issues in the Suicide Squad run by Tom Taylor that are great, like the issue where like Deadshot dies. But like there's different issues like that, or the final issue, like the Revolutionaries. Those are great issues, but I feel like this one, it just hit me in the feels. Because one thing that I'm kind of like basing this whole list off of is when I first read the comic book, alright? Now, if I read the comic book multiple times in one day, then yeah, that's fine. But I'm not basing off of how the series turned out. Like, say that all the issues after this issue were terrible. I would still put this issue on the list because it was so well done. It's just about the issue itself. Not about, oh, the after effect of it. Or the stuff coming before it. No, it's just the execution and the story itself. Also, I base it off of how my experience was. How I go into the comic. And going into this issue number 7 of Suicide Squad, I was like, okay, it's a good run so far, but it's not amazing. But then Tom Taylor's like, oh, you don't think it's amazing? Got you. And he made it amazing. So I really like that. But yeah, guys, let's get to number 7. Coming in at number 7, we got John Constantine, Hellblazer, number 12. And this is the final issue in Simon Spurrier's and Aaron Campbell's whole run, right? And this is under, like, the Sandman imprint. After, like, Sandman showed up in Dark Knight's Mail, then they did the whole Sandman universe thing. We had made different books, right? Like, the Dreaming, different books like that, which were good, but I feel like this is the best one under the imprint. Like, Simon Spurrier does a great job throughout the series, just defining John Constantine's character. Like, as for me, John Constantine is one of my favorite characters in DC Comics. Ever since I watched like, the first season of its show, that's how I got introduced. I just liked, like, Matt Ryan the role, loved the show, checked out the comics, they're really good, and this comic, going into it, I was skeptical, right? Not the final issue of the entire run. Like, the first issue of this run, I was like, okay, we have the last Hellblazer series in Rebirth. It was alright, but it wasn't as strong as, say, like, the previous Hellblazer stories. But we get into this one. The first issue was really good. It was getting really good. The story was building. You had great supporting characters. Simon Spurrier, like, writing about John Constantine. He knew the character. He knew how John Constantine talked and stuff. And you had this interesting character arc with Constantine throughout this whole run. Now I get to this final issue, and I was very skeptical. I was like, alright, I believe this creative team can give a good finish, but it is getting cut short a little bit. But going into this final issue, it's just done so well, right? Like, these issues are more longer comics. They're not like 20 pages. They're more like 32 pages or so. Something like that. But the final issue, you see a lot of, like, imagery. Like, Aaron Campbell, I hope I'm pronouncing, like, the last name right. But still, Aaron, he does a great job of drawing all, like, the different imagery in the final issue, because you see John Constantine, he deals with a lot of crazy stuff in that final issue. Like, it's really crazy, and the whole theme is that the price is higher than the prize, right? So basically, what John Constantine has to do, what he has to give up, is worth more than the award of after he does that stuff, right? What he has to go through is harder, right? And it's a great theme. It's well-rounded. How the story ends, how the whole series ends in the final issue is well done. But the only thing that sucks is it's over. We don't have this run anymore. And it was my favorite Hellblazer runs in a long time. And one of the best, like, DC comic runs of 2020. And this final issue was my favorite issue from this run. It was just so cool. And the artwork just fits it. Like, Aaron Campbell's, his artwork fits Hellblazer so much. And Simon Spurrier, his writing fits Hellblazer so much. Like, Simon Spurrier does great with, like, kind of supernatural, or, like, he does Hellblazer a lot. I'll just say he does great with Hellblazer, right? And I definitely recommend you check out this series. It's one of those series that didn't get a lot of recognition. Not a lot of people checked it out because it's under the Sandman universe imprint, and not a lot of people are checking out comics from that imprint, and not a lot of people knew about this comic. They'll only know about it now because, like, me and other people are giving recognition to it, but I really prefer to check it out, right? Especially if you're a John Constantine fan. But yeah, guys, with that out of the way, let's get to number 6. So, coming in at number 6 is Batman 3 Jokers number 1. Now, I know you're saying, even if you thought the final issue and the whole point of the story was underwhelming and you enjoy it, for me, I thought this whole story, Batman 3 Jokers, was solid. It wasn't amazing, it didn't meet my expectations, but it was solid. But no matter how you felt about the entire series, no matter how you felt about the final issue at issue number 3, or even issue number 2, I think everyone can agree that issue number 1 was amazing. When it came out, for me at least, I thought it was a masterpiece, alright? I thought this issue number 1 was just amazing. Like, I really enjoyed it. It got me so hyped. And technically, I got a little disappointed as it went along. Because the final 2 issues, issue number 2 and 3, they were great. I thought they were solid, but they weren't up to the level as this issue. Now, this series is written by Jeff Johns and drawn by Jason Fabok. Now, Jason Fabok, my favorite artist, or at least one of my favorite artists from DC Comics, and he delivers the goods here. Like, guys, his artwork here is just so good. How he draws Batman, Red Hood, Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, Joker. It's just so, Jason Fabok did Dark Side War. His artwork is always seen as some of the best work out there. And this is really well done, because you guys don't remember, 3 Jokers was delayed and delayed and delayed, right? But then it gave Jason Fabok more time to define his work, make it even better. So you got a really outstanding product there. Now, the writing, what made this issue even better was seeing these 3 Jokers was really interesting. I was like, oh, this may define Batman as a character. And what was even better, Red Hood getting back to his roots. Just beating up different criminals and being more darker and back to what we remember as Red Hood fans. Like, yeah, I did like the Red Hood and the Outlaws. It was cool and all. But I like the more traditional Red Hood, where it's just how he was in Under the Red Hood, right? I like that Red Hood. And it comes back here and it's really great. But yeah, guys, I really love this issue. It's a great first issue to the series. And whether you thought the series went downhill from there, or you thought the series went uphill from there, you thought it's amazing, it doesn't matter. I think we can all agree, or at least in my opinion, I think this first issue was just a masterpiece. It was really good. But yeah, guys, let's get to the top 5 best DC Comics of 2020. So, coming in at number 5, we got Joker 8th Anniversary, number 1. Now, this is one of the comics that came out like pre-COVID, or technically before all the shutdowns and stuff. So, it was during the time where going to a comic shop, it was easy, right? At least for most people, right? So, I got this comic. I remember getting it, right? There's experience here. This is why it's up here in this list, right? There's experience for me. I went to the comic shop. I saw this comic in the stands, right? I was like, I may get it, because I enjoy, like, the Robin 8th Anniversary. I enjoyed the other ones. And I was like, no, I'll check it out. It is a little pricey, I don't know. And I feel like there has been a lot of Joker going on. There's a lot of Joker in 2020. 3 Jokers, Joker War, this. But I feel like this is the best Joker content you could get out this year, right? It's better than 3 Jokers, way better than Joker War. This comic, the 8th Anniversary, this issue, it's just really well done, right? And when I got the comic, I picked it up, and I saw the different writers on it. It was Scott Snyder, Peter J. Tomasi, James Tynion IV, Tony S. Daniel. We have artists like Dan Mora. We had Jock, the same guy that Scott Snyder paired up with for Batman Black Mirror. We all these different names, right? I was like, okay, that gets me a little excited. I'll check it out. Now, first story on the list, Scott Snyder's. It's called Scars. And this was my favorite from the collection. It was really good. This got me hooked. Once I read this story, I was like, no, I'm going to read all the rest of these stories in one sitting for this book, alright? It's really cool. Because what this story is, titled Scars, we see this one guy, he's talking with these different patients, right? Who are victims of the Joker. And these victims have been driven insane. Like, they can't get Joker out of their head. They always feel like Joker's right around the corner, going to kill them, right? Now, this guy, though, the one who's, like, interviewing them in a way, like, talking with them, he is fine, but he also has a fear a little bit as well. And it kind of is well-rounded and comes full circle, because at the end of the issue, you see this guy is afraid of a certain flower, right? The flower on the Joker's chest, right? And you see that what happens is he finds this random flower in his bed. After a day of talking with these different victims, and he gets hit, and pretty much, like, it hits his face really bad, and it starts to melt, right? Destroys his face. And it causes, like, him a traumatic experience, right? And now he's the victim of the Joker. Now he's fearful for the Joker. And it just shows how it flips. You go from someone who's like, oh, they're just victims of the Joker, we can fix them, to now you're in their spot and you have to deal with that. And there's no Joker in the actual story, but it shows how Joker, like how his impact on Gotham City is. And now he impacts all these victims in all the stuff he does to get out Batman, to destroy Batman. And it's really well written. One of the best stories by Scott Snyder, at least in my opinion, and the best story in this collection. Now, we also got the story that has art by Dan Mora, and it's called Kill the Batman, where we see that Batman, he's dead, he's gone, and Joker has nothing to do. He's like, oh crap, he's dead. Alright, what am I gonna do? And he actually just goes to the shop, and he sees the cash register. You see how Joker reacts to Batman being dead. I just love it. It's really good. Now, we also have, like, the origin punchline, which is actually really good. I like James Tynion's writing here. I thought it was really good. And the artwork by Michael Janin, really good. I really like the artwork there. But there's all different kinds of stories in here that are really worth, like, checking out, right? And it's worth the price. This whole collection, you get, like, 10 stories, and most of them are amazing. Yeah, there may be one or two that aren't as good, but I'm pretty sure you're going to find some masterpieces, some amazing stories in here that you'll enjoy. And if you've been tired of Joker, if you've been like, it's been too much Joker, it's kind of getting to the point that's getting tiresome. Now we got a new Joker series coming out, which I'm excited for. But I say to you who are like, I'm not excited for it, but say you didn't read this issue. You missed this. You missed the best thing about Joker in this year. If you missed it, check it out. Even if you're tired of Joker, this will show you why you love the Joker, right? It shows the different sides, the different perspectives, the different impacts of the Joker. It's not just a simple Batman vs. the Joker, or a story that we were so hyped for that didn't kind of deliver but didn't fully deliver, right? This is actually just a simple collection of great Joker stories. Check it out. Now, let's get to number 4. So, coming in at number 4, we got Dark Knight's Death Metal, Last Stories of the DC Universe, number 1. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, he's been talking about a lot of comics, but he hasn't mentioned really anything death metal. We're getting to it now, right? Top 4, right? But there's an 80-page comic that had different stories written by Joshua Williams, Scott Snyder, Mark Waid. Yeah, guys, Mark Waid came back to DC Comics in this issue, and he actually wrote a Superman story. In my opinion, was up there with the best stories in this collection. There's a lot of great stories in this collection, because we have this Teen Titans story. We have Donna Troy. She shows up and she rallies all these different Teen Titans together. Wally West shows us an emotional moment because she said Wally West, he killed Roy Harper, and all the Teen Titans don't really like him. But Donna Troy accepts him. And then we see Batman, who's now dead in death metal, right? And he kind of like just gets the Black Lantern ring and raises Roy Harper from the dead. It's this interesting interaction between Roy and Wally West. There's a lot of great moments in that story, right? That's the main story because it kind of like bookends the entire issue. It's really cool. But you have a lot of other great short stories like Green Arrow and Black Canary. They kind of interact with their future daughter, right? Who's called like Black Arrow. Well, she's not their future daughter. She's from like a different universe. But still, it's really cool. And Oliver is thinking about asking Dinah to marry him, right? But he just keeps it out a little longer. Because it's their final day, their final, like, nights before the big battle with the Darkest Knights. It's the last stories of the DC Universe, right? We also have the story with Hal Jordan and Sinestro, where Hal Jordan accepts and kind of lets Sinestro in. It's like, yeah, you can be a Green Lantern again. They just accept it and just be by my side. And they're brothers again, right? Now, they're not technically brothers. Like, Hal Jordan was kind of like, no, I hate you. You do a lot of bad things. But he's like, yes, we're all going to die. So might as well, you can join, right? But still a really good story. But my favorite was the Superman story. Written by Mark Waid. And you see Superman, he travels around the world. And he has this device that pretty much makes him go back in time an hour. Each time he does it. So he's able to, like, multiply himself in this 1 hour and save all these people, inspire hope throughout the world. It's pretty much like the last hour before everything goes to crap, right? Before the Darkest Night arrives. And all these people around the world are scared, but they have Superman to inspire them. And he puts them all before his family. And he then goes to his family, John and Lois, and they fly off. And it's well written by Mark Waid, drawn really well by Francis Manapul. It's one of my favorite Superman stories in a long time. Because Superman, for me, has not been as interesting for a little bit. I've not been really... His comics haven't been grabbing me. I haven't got hooked by him at all. And there's a reason we haven't been covering them on this channel. But this one story, this short story in this collection, really brought it home for me. Showed me why Superman is such a great character, and made me like the character a lot more. And this is the best the character's been in a long time. And honestly, DC was smart. Make a series where Mark Waid writes about Superman, Francis Mann-Paul's the artist, and I feel like that series will sell really good, and a lot of people love it. Like, I'm still excited for what they're doing with Superman in 2021, the new series, right? And Action Comics, you have a new writer, a new artist, but I feel like if they have Mark Waid jump on it, that would be a smart idea. But yeah, guys, let's get to number 3. So, coming in at number 3, you got DCeased Deadplanet, number 3. Simple as that. And there's a reason I put this series, not just because it's number 3, right? This whole series has been great. It's written by Tom Taylor, which Tom Taylor is one of the best writers out there today. He does a great job, and I'm excited for his Nightwing comic in 2021. But this series, DCeased Deadplanet, the sequel to the original DCeased, which is an amazing series from, I think it was 2019. 2019 or 2018. One of the two. But still, it's a great series. And this being the sequel, there's a lot of high expectations. And Tom Taylor was delivering. He had a great first issue, a great second issue with the amazing cliffhanger. See Plastic Man. Guys, Plastic Man become undead and start attacking all these different heroes, right? And the beginning of the issue, you see Zatanna, she survives, it's really good. And you see like Penguin and Silent Stag, what they're trying to do, make this army of Amazos. You see certain developments in this issue that are epic, really cool. You have a lot of great character moments in this issue. You also have like the whole revelation that Trigon is coming to Earth, which was really shocking when I first read it. And I had a great experience with it, because the artwork is really good too. The artwork fits the tone, is amazing. But the writing, there's a lot of great character moments that really hit you in the feels, but a lot of moments like Trigon coming to the Earth that's just so epic that I'm like, okay, this gets me hyped. And the end of the issue is done really well. So this is like the issue that, like you can say, first and second issue was building off the original series, right? It was trying to build its own story. But this issue number 3, for me at least, was the issue that really set up the story and got the ball all rolling, right? It got me excited for what's to come and really put DCeased Deadplanet on my pull list. It really made it one of my series that I was looking forward to every time it came out, guys. So yeah, guys, that's number 3. But now, let's get to number 2. The second best DC comic of 2020. So guys, coming in at number 2 is one of my favorites from this year, obviously, but it's really good, alright? It's Dark Knight's Death Metal Speed Metal, and this is my favorite issue out of Death Metal to date, alright? Favorite issue out of Death Metal, because what we see Wally West, right? And Wally West has been put through the ringer, right? Heroes in Crisis, DC Universe Rebirth, all this different stuff, right? But we have him here. And he has the powers of Dr. Manhattan, and he's running with Barry Allen, Jay Garrick. They're running through the storm. The Darkest Knight is chasing them because the Darkest Knight needs to get onto Wally West and take his power. Take it from pretty much the Metron chair and become all-powerful. Now, spoiler alert. Well, there's spoilers throughout this entire video, guys. Like, okay, if somebody came into this video, if I get any complaints down in the comments that, oh, you spoiled all these stories for me, why would you go into a list called Top 10 Best DC Comics? Like, come on. I better not get any complaints about that. But still, spoiler alert, we have Darkest Knight does come all-powerful. He does kind of win in a way. But still, in this issue, you see Wally West, he runs, he's being chased by the Darkest Knight, and they make like this one different, like, pretty much force field, because they use the Speed Force equation. And Wally West and Barry Allen and Jay Garrick and even Kid Flash, Wallace West, the new one, they all have a time to take a break. And you have this really cool interaction between Barry and Wally. For me, my favorite Flash, it goes back and forth to Wally and Barry, alright? I really love Barry, but I also really love Wally West, especially since I've been reading a lot of Wally West's comics lately, Mark Waid's run. But still, here, you see Wally West talking about, hey, I never get what I deserve. Like, I'm always put through the ringer. And that's when they finally beat the Darkest Knights. And Wally West, you see, well, they don't beat the Darkest Knights. They kind of like, they stop them for temporarily, right? Enough that the Darkest Knight doesn't reach and win in that second, right? But still, we have Wally West. He makes it through like this pool, right? He's the only one to make it through. Because Wally West, he gets tired and overwhelmed. We get Jay Garrick, he's too old, so he can't run as fast. And then Barry uses all his power to charge at Wally, and Wally just runs out. And it's really cool. And Wally, you see him get his iconic costume. His original iconic costume with like the white eyes. And it was just such nostalgia. It was just really cool. And then he gets to see the Flash family again, his family, like his two children, his wife Linda. It's a really nice moment, not just for Wally West fans, but for Flash fans in general. In the end of the issue, you see them charge, they just run off. Wally West, Jay Garrick, Barry Allen, the big three Flashes. And it's just awesome. It was definitely a really great issue. Like, I knew it was going to be a great issue written by Joshua Williams. It was kind of like the issue to cap off his Flash era, but to see how what was, like how it turned out, like I thought it'd just be a great issue, not a masterpiece. And also the artwork is really good. It fits the tone, it fits the darkness, but it also fits like the optimism when Wally West finally becomes what he needs to be and runs off and sees the Flash family again. There's a lot of different nice moments in this issue, but a lot of high stakes and action as well. So yeah guys, that's number 2, but with that out of the way, we're going to do some honorable mentions. Now, coming up first for the honorable mentions is Tales from the Dark Multiverse, Wonder Woman, War of the Gods, number 1. Now, you're probably thinking, wait, there's no Tales of the Dark Multiverse in this list yet. And there's 4 of them that came out this year, right? We have Tales from the Dark Multiverse, Crisis on Infinite Earths, we had Flashpoints, we had War of the Gods, and I think we had another one as well. But we had different ones, right? And we actually have Dark Knight's Metal coming up. Now that one, I haven't read it yet. At the time of filming this video, I haven't read it. So if that turns out to be like just the best comic of this year, sorry, it's not on this list. It may turn out to be, it may not, we'll see. But still, this issue, War of the Gods, we see Wonder Woman, she becomes evil, she gets controlled by Hecate, she pulls out Superman's heart. There's so many different shocking moments in this issue. The artwork is amazing. It's just really well done. It's my favorite one. I was trying to decide between this one and the Crisis on Infinite Earths one, but the only thing that made this issue better was it was more in line with the story that it was kind of like building off of, right? War of the Gods. It built off it pretty well. Where Crisis on Infinite Earths didn't really build off of Crisis on Infinite Earths, it just made its own story, which isn't bad, but I prefer, if you're gonna call it like Tales from the Dark Multiverse, Crisis on Infinite Earths, based it off that story. And that's what I like about the War of the Gods issue. It based it off that story and made it more interesting and gave it a dark direction. Now, another honorable mention I'm gonna give is Injustice Year Zero, number 1. Now, even though this series is near its end right now, it's written by Tom Taylor, and we have different artists that always jump on board. Even if the series has kind of gone to filler territory, and it's just been Joker getting very powerful, the first issue was really good. We see the Just Society, and I already said this in the video, Tom Taylor is great at giving us those amazing character moments that hit you in the feels. And there's a lot of those in this issue, between Superman, Batman, or say just seeing the Just Society taking a group pic because they're all getting together. It's so nice. And then we also have this character named Andre who gets in contact with Joker. There's a lot of great setup. The artwork conveys it all well. The thing that really got an honorable mention is just the Just Society. The Just Society does not get enough spotlight these days, and seeing them in a comic, especially written by Tom Taylor, was a delight for me. I had a great time reading it. Now, coming up next for honorable mention is Batman Black and White, number 1. Now, the reason I'm putting this here is, 1, it's a very unique issue, and it's a lot of amazing stories. Because something that's great about these anthology series like Batman Black and Whites, you have these writers that get their A game, and artists get their A game as well. Because the artists don't have colorists to cover up their mistakes, like if they're rushing it. And writers just make a quick story, a short 8-page story that gets to the point, there's no filler, and the whole point is it's kind of like a sales pitch. They're giving you their best effort, right? And I really like that. And there's a couple masterpiece stories in here that you should check out. Now, our last honorable mention in this part of the video is going to be Nightwing, number 75. And the reason I'm doing this, you're probably thinking, oh yeah, he's just putting this on here because Nightwing came back in this issue. Yes, like it was awesome to see Nightwing finally come back after the whole Rick Grayson saga. And like I said, how I'm basing off these this whole list is experience. And going into this, I was very skeptical because I was like, alright, the Rick Grayson saga kind of sucked, and we still have the same writer, and we have it's cool that Nightwing's back, but will they still keep like the Rick Grayson stuff? No, they brought Nightwing back in an amazing issue. It was an extra long issue. You have a very emotional moment between Dick and Alfred that really was super emotional, like hit me in the feels. I had a great experience reading it, and just seeing Nightwing back and just being a hero was really cool, alright? After 2 years not seeing that, that's what made this issue so special. Now, guys, with that out of the way, the number 1 issue, my favorite DC comic in 2020 is Justice League number 51. Now, this is a wild card. You're probably thinking, wait, did I read that comic? You probably didn't. But that's unfortunate, because you should. The reason I'm putting this issue at number 1 is because, alright, up to this point, give you some setup, alright? Because the experience going into this, alright? What I was thinking. We had Scott Snyder's Justice League run from issue number 1 to 39, alright? And that was a great run. It was an amazing run, one of the best Justice League runs in a long time, really good. But then we had a bunch of filler story arcs. We had Robert Venditti, he jumped on, we had like this Reign of Superman, not Reign of Superman, it was like Invasion of Superman story arc, which was decent, but it wasn't amazing. Then we had the same thing with like the Spectre arc. Then Simon Spurrier jumped on, and his story, like the Tross, was very boring, not really good. So I was not enjoying the Justice League comic. It was one of those comics that I was like, I'll push it. I'll eventually read it, I'll get on the channel like a review, but I don't really care about it. Then I heard that issue number 51, there'd be like the start of this 2-part storyline. Issue number 51, 52. Alright, it'll be written by Jeff Loveness and drawn by Robson Rocha. Now, Jeff Loveness, you don't know him, he's the same guy who wrote the Vat of Acid episode in Rick and Morty, right? The Vat of Acid episode, and one of my favorite Rick and Morty episodes. So I was like, that was already a good thing, that got me excited. But also, he wrote the Tales from the Dark Multiverse Death of Superman issue, where Lois Lane comes evil and kills people. She kills Batman, and it's an amazing issue, one of my favorite Tales from the Dark Multiverse issues, and it just shows how great of a writer Jeff Loveness is. Now, he has not wrote a lot of DC Comics as of late. He wrote that one, but he's not been in the spotlight, right? So when I heard he was jumping on Justice League, I was alright, we still grab filler. I already knew that this 2-part storyline would be filler, technically. Because then after that, we had the Death Metal tie-in, and then Justice League Endless Winter, and then eventually we get a new Justice League series, which is now announced to be Brian Michael Bendis' new series coming in 2021. So I knew this was gonna be kind of filler, and I was trying to decide if I should like skip it, right? But when I got into it, immediately hooked me. Now, this story is about the Black Mercy. Now, the Black Mercy was in the Superman Annual, written by Alan Moore, one of the best Superman stories. It's called The Man Who Has Everything. We see Superman gets controlled by the Black Mercy. It gives you like the perfect life as it feeds off your life force. And Superman, he goes to like a world where like Krypton is still alive, right? It's like a certain universe. It's like the perfect universe where Krypton's still alive, he has a son, but then as he breaks free from like the Black Mercy, it just all crumbles. And Mongol is doing this. He created this whole scheme to get Superman stuck in the Black Mercy, but Batman, Wonder Woman, and Jason Todd Robbins show up. It's a great story. But that's what this story, this 2-parter written by Jeff Loveness, was building off of. Because that was just one Black Mercy. But what this story is that the Justice League arrive at the home world of the Black Mercy. So the whole world is Black Mercy. Which, it got me like, okay, this is gonna be some horror vibes, it's gonna be dark, it's gonna be really good, alright? Yes, it'll be a 2-parter that may be filler, you may skip, right? But you should skip it because it's amazing. They get there, and this first issue, it hit me with experience. I was so invested in the story. It's a quick comic, 20 pages, and then, well, technically the story is 40 pages because it's 2 comics. But we're just talking about issue number 51, right? In that comic, you see all of them get controlled. You see this amazing splash image of Flash controlled because he gets caught by the Black Mercy. John Stewart gets caught by the Black Mercy. And then Batman he goes into the abyss, the Black Mercy, and then sees his mother. Alright? So as The Man Who Has Everything, that story written by Alan Moore, was more about Superman, this one is more about Batman, right? Because throughout this issue, the Black Mercy is talking to Batman. Talking about how he fails, how he goes through the Justice League, how his mindset is, right? And in issue number 51, the conclusion to this, you see Batman almost give up being the Batman. Like, just be with his family. A world where his parents don't die. He's living a good life. He has Leah Kyle. And we got a tease of this in the episode in Justice Unlimited, which was based off the Alan Moore Man Who Has Everything story. And it was really good, but that was just a tease, but this is like the full scope of it, right? And it was really good, but then the reason I'll put issue number 52 here as number 1 is because the conclusion was good, but it was also kind of rushed toward the end, because they had to wrap it up, alright? They could have easily made this a full story arc. DC shook, so it would have been smart. But still, the first part hit me on an emotional level, and it got me invested. I was like, damn, this is deep, this is really good. Then it hit me on like a lore level. I was like, man, this is really good. Because all the lore, the Black Mercy, the background of it, and all the Justice League characters were written well by Jeff Loveness. And Robson Rocha, going into this, Robson Rocha, he's a great artist, but he's nowhere near like Jorge Menez or Jason Fabok. but here, he made me love his artwork. Because going up to this, I was like, alright, it'll be decent artwork. But he delivered. He gave some of his best artwork I've ever seen from him, and it was really good. And the whole product here was a masterpiece issue that if you didn't pick it up, you probably didn't because you were thinking it was just filler. Still pick it up. Because it's my favorite issue from this year. And even, I'm pretty sure nobody hated this issue. Because it showed like the core Justice League dynamic. It showed the Black Mercy. It was an interesting story. There's no filler in the actual issue in terms of like the story. There's no like dumb scenes. It was well paced. And a lot happened. So yeah, guys, that's why I'm putting it as number 1. It's an interesting choice. I was trying to decide. I was like, should I put it at number 1? But I feel like I feel like it fits there, right? At least for me, right? Because this is a subjective list, my opinion, and it fits there. Like, I love the Death Metal issue with Wally West. I really like DCeased Deadplanet. I like all these other series. Nightwing, even Batman 3 Joker's number 1, John Constantine Hellblazer, even Flash, all these different series. But this one issue, Justice number 51, it sticks with me. I had experience with it, I've read multiple times, and that's a good thing. If you can read a comic multiple times and still find stuff in it, it means it's a great comic. And maybe a masterpiece like this one. But yeah, guys, that's my list. That's my top 10 favorite DC Comics of 2020. And those are the ones I think are the best. And yeah, guys, with that out of the way, tell me your top 10 favorite DC Comics down below. Which comics were your favorites? And actually, give me like your 10 and give some honorable mentions, alright? So I want to see which ones you kind of left out that you still thought were really great, but you just didn't fit in that top 10, right? So I give you 4 comics. Batman Black and White, Injustice Year Zero, and Nightwing number 75, and War of the Gods, right? Those 4 comics I thought were great. Really, I had a great experience with them, but just didn't crack into the top 10. But I still mentioned them, alright? But still, this was a great year of comics. Even though COVID and we have a month and a half of no comics, I still enjoyed this year, and I'm excited for 2021. But yeah, guys, if you like the video, give a big thumbs up. New to the channel, make sure to subscribe and the notification bell so you don't miss out on my next DC Comics video. Guys, in this channel, we got DC Comics reviews, reactions to shows like The Flash, Stargirl, all sorts of DC shows. I go over all the news. I literally made videos about Future State and Infinite Frontier to get you guys caught up and in the know on what's going on at DC. I try to get you guys in the know on everything going on at DC and get you hyped for it, right? So I'm a big fan of DC, so if I get you hyped for it, or at least get you interested in some comics, then I've done my job. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching, and peace out.